Welcome to the Man Up Podcast. This is your host, Brother Oscar and Brother Bangs. And today we got a special guest, Austen Alexander from Florence, Alabama, entrepreneur, U.S. Navy veteran, served 7 years as a Master of Arms in Naval Security, focusing on, harbor patrol. In 2020, he established the Battle Bunker, followed by the launch of
Yeah.
Con Games in 2022 and the Battle Bus in 2021. And I've seen a lot of your videos on social media, where you just set up shop and, you have people come and pull up and, see how much pull-ups they can do.
Can you do pull-ups? He said, oh, I can do pull-ups. How many pull-ups do you think you can get? Easy 15. Step right up. What's your name?
Corbin.
Corbin. Pleased to meet you, Corbin. Let's have you face the opposite way. People want to see your beautiful face.
Said no one ever.
Come on, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at the face. It's serious. 5, 10. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. 11, 12, 13. He's not even breathing. There we go. There he goes. Come on. Two more. Pull, 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 pull. 14.
One more.
Get that chin a little higher. 14 reps. 14 reps. Pull, pull, pull. Close. 14 reps. Keep trying if you want. 14 reps. You lied to me. You told me you were going to get 15. Thanks for coming out, Corbin. Appreciate you.
And you're either $5, $1, 50 cents. Thanks.
Yeah. 50 cents. Sometimes budgets are low out here. Like, hey, I'll give you a dime for every pull-up. People are like, what are you talking about?
Hey, man, I seen the one where the Marine said he could do 15, man. He only did 14.
I know, dude. I'm like, a lot of people
making us look bad, man. Making us look bad. Devil dog.
A lot of times people will undershoot, and I'm like, nah, I think you can do. You got 2 more in you. I always try to shoot for 2 more. They're like, I can get 10. I'm like, I think you can get 12. They're like, all right.
So yeah, starting off, man, if you could tell us, a little introduction about yourself for our viewers, like teens, young men, and man watching. Give us a little introduction to who you are and what you're about.
Sure. My name is Austen Alexander. I grew up in Florence, Alabama, a very small town of about 30,000 people. Household income was around $55,000 when I was growing up. That was my mom, my dad, my brother, and me. And I mentioned that just because people look at me now, like a lot of people are like, oh, he's rich because he gives away money. I talk about background and how I grew up because I didn't come from money at all. I mean, I had discount lunches and breakfast at high school. It cost me 65 cents for breakfast, And my dad was a mechanic, and then he was a fundraiser. My mom was a substitute teacher and teacher's aide, and grew up in a church called Cross Point Church of Christ. And then when I graduated high school, I went to college. Went to college for 2 semesters, and I realized, hey, this is not for me. Like my parents told me, hey, college is optional. Like just as long as you get a job, college is optional. Do what you want. And as soon as they told me that, like college was optional, I was like, okay, I hate it. Like I'm not a book smart type of guy. I can't learn at someone else's pace. And so I dropped out. I joined the Navy when I was 20. I was shipped off to boot camp. And for 7 years, I was a Master at Arms in the Harbor Patrol Unit, driving boats around, big machine guns. I'm 32 now. I was in the Navy for 7 years, got out in 2020. I started YouTube in 2018, took it full-time in 2020. And since I've been doing it full-time, we've been able to expand and create basically a whole fitness network of different shows, channels. We have 2 YouTube channels, 11 Facebook pages, 11 Instagram pages, 4 Facebook pages, 2 TikToks, 2 Snap shows. And I'm just very blessed to be able to do it and to film and do what I love every single day.
Yeah, we'll start with becoming a man and overcoming challenges. Kind of go ahead into that topic. What would you define manhood? If someone's to ask, what is manhood? What to you is manhood?
I'm a very traditional type of guy. I think men are built to be protectors, providers, and hard workers. So when you say manhood can mean that circle of whole things, protecting, providing for his own, whether it's, putting food on the table, shelter, and those kind of have different meanings nowadays. But, um, if you have children, providing for your children and striving to be better at that every single day, to be physically strong, to be mentally strong. That's how I would define manhood.
I watched another, maybe it was a podcast or like an interview where you said you had to lose your accent when you went into boot camp
Yeah.
because they were giving you a hard time for your Alabama accent. Man, I thought that was pretty funny, But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
I struggled with that for a long time, that accent. Nobody could understand me. And they would always roast me because we had to say aye, petty officer. And me being from Alabama, I'd say, aye. And they thought I was saying, aye, petty officer. So they would always drop me and I would get extra IT for that.
nice. But no, I love how you emphasize the fact that you don't want anyone to think that you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, that you actually, got it from from hard work and from excelling and utilizing the skills that you did receive from the military and, just converted it into, your business that you're doing right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was looking back, I'm not saying like, oh, it was times were tough, because they weren't. My dad was a great provider. There was food on the table every single day. Every Saturday he would wake up and make us biscuits and gravy with garlic salt, scrambled eggs, bacon, and there would just be pounds and pounds of it. My dad loves to cook and he loves to see people eat together, and I get that from him. Still, some of my happiest memories are just eating together with my friends. That's why I like to grill so much. I will over grill. I will grill so much that, like, for Thanksgiving, I had 8 people over. I had 4 tomahawks, a 15-pound brisket, and 2 skirt steaks. And like, we had meat for a long time. I get that from my dad. My dad was a great provider. We weren't struggling for clothes or anything, but there were definitely limitations financially.
Right. So you would say like he kind of epitomized what you saw as a man, a model of what a man should be and how a man should, as you mentioned, be a caretaker and make sure that, hey, look, man, every mouth in this household will be fed.
Yes, my dad, I've rarely seen him make a mistake. He taught me hard work. He had me out there, he would charge people $15 to change oil, and then he would have me do it and pay me $8. Like, he taught me how, an entrepreneurial side, even though he would make a little money on off the top. He had us out there every Saturday morning during the summertime picking peas, watermelons, cantaloupes, and I hated it at the time because it was just like hot and sweaty. You're getting stung by bees, sweat bees. But it taught me how to work hard. And my dad really struggled with balance, though. He's all in. He rarely took time off of work. He rarely was doing anything besides working. If he was with my brother and I, he would be like, hey, let's go work. Let's go pick some watermelons. Let's go, do something. And I struggle with balance a little bit too. I know we'll save that for a little bit further into the podcast episode, but another important part of, I think, manhood is balancing everything. It's balancing.
Right.
There has to be balance with everything. There can never be too much, because if you're doing too much of one thing, you're lacking in another part. And my dad was a workaholic from sun up to sundown. He was working. And so that's something that I try to focus on is keeping a good balance.
We'll go on to the next one. And, what was the defining moment in your life where you felt you transitioned from a boy to a man? A lot of people nowadays, which I got a question later, think that just because you're old means you're a man, you kind of got to be molded into a man, you know, because I know people that are probably 40, man, and they still have childlike ways, you know,
Mhm.
they'll do things that a man would not do. But what was a defining moment in your life where, you know, you felt like, okay, man, I transitioned from a boy to a man, and I can see that.
Mhm. I will name a specific moment where I really felt it. But first, I just want to say, like, people see me in videos and on social media all the time. I like to laugh. I like to have fun. If we don't have to be serious about something, I don't want to be serious about it. A lot of people will just wake up and just be super serious about their whole day, and it puts so much stress on them. I like to wake up. I like to laugh. I like to tell jokes. That's aside from the aspects of actually being a man. And when I learned, there's a specific part where I transitioned and I decided, I was like, hey, I have to flip. It was Santa Monica, 2017. I had just come off a deployment and I was living in Long Beach. I came off a deployment in July. So this was August, September, maybe like October. I was cutting down for a show. I was doing a photo shoot with a friend of mine out in the beach in the ocean, and I turned around. By the way, this was before I had the YouTube. This was before I had social media. This was before everything. I turned around. And I look at the ocean, and I looked around me, and I was like, you know what? I was like, there's no reason why I can't have what I want to have in this life. And I remember, I don't know if it was somebody speaking to me, if it was God, if it was myself, or what. And I was like, you know, I want to achieve something, and I want to be somebody. And I've just got this wave of like goosebumps and this feeling. And I'm convinced that that moment is the moment I decided to stop being lazy, to stop spending my time on stupid stuff and where it doesn't need to be spent at, and to take responsibility for myself and to become more. And that was in 2017, October or September in Santa Monica. And a real man will know, hey, this is not a smart way to spend my time, like scrolling on Instagram, scrolling on TikTok, wasting your time, not doing anything with it. A real man will check himself and call himself out and say, okay, this is not what I need to be doing. And back then I was in a lot of debt. I didn't have money, skills. I wasn't earning a lot. I was overspending. I was wasting my time. I didn't have an initiative. And then from that moment forward, I changed it.
Because it's that realization of, okay, I got to be responsible. I have a life to live. I have responsibilities, and I need to do something today. Because a lot of guys,
Exactly.
man, all they do is play games. They let time waste.
Hmm.
We're on borrowed time. Like God is only giving us a certain amount of years to live, man. You know what I mean? It's a blessing if you make it to 90, and to live
Yeah.
all that time with untapped potential, not fulfilling nothing, not making a family, not, you know, handling your responsibilities. And you got anything to say, Brother Banks?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna say like Genesis 1:28 comes to mind, right? When God gives Adam the commission to, hey, be fruitful, multiply, expand. And it sounds like you had an epiphany, like, wait a minute, man, you looked at the earth quite like Adam looked at the earth God gave him and said, this is yours. And so, just that whole maximizing the gift and the talent and just, going for it and knowing that, wait a minute, I can do all things. One of my favorite scriptures, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And what you're doing is actually making businesses. So you're employing people, right?
Hmm.
So, people want to look down on what they consider the rich or the 1% ignorantly, and not understanding that entrepreneurs put people to work. So what you're doing is bringing income to others. Right? You say you
Yes.
started more businesses. But God put that seed. That seed was in you. That seed is in you to be a provider, and just a provider for the community, and a provider for others. Right now you're giving us an opportunity. You know, you're giving us a chance to actually provide as well. I mean, we know you have a huge platform, so we're grateful. So, you know, I just commend you, man. I see a lot of that. I see you taking that initiative. Like, let me be great with the greatness that's in me. And I definitely believe God spoke that into you. You know what I mean? I believe God told you, look, you're greater than what you're currently doing. And I've given you the ability, man, to create and design systems uh and networks that can make you you know, more more rich in a sense, but also benefit others,
Mhm.
as you create businesses and hire folks.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's one of the best feelings is like in this life, I meet a lot of people. I become friends with people. Some of them I don't become friends with, but the people I get close to, like I, I'm, I'm good at recruiting people and finding strong points in people, I think. So to this day, I've hired four of my friends, just hired on another one yesterday actually, and I get to work with these people and seeing them getting pulled out of their situation and the feeling that I'm providing for them when they're providing for me as well, and the fact that we all grow is a great feeling. Great feeling.
And to add to what you said, hopefully this, your story and this episode can help others that, if you feel like you're at a place where you're stuck, you're arrested in your development, and you feel like, man, I could do better. I need to be more than to a man. Today's the day.
Hmm.
Today's the day. You know what? I like what David Goggins says.
I met him actually. I'll tell you guys how I met him before he was the David Goggins. He was actually an instructor of mine.
I like what he says when he walks through a cemetery. He says, "You know what I see? A lot of untapped potential, you know, and we
Yeah.
want to maximize that potential. We can do
Mhm.
so much, man, in this life to help, others, man. We're built here to be a servant, not to
I
lead,
agree.
servant and help others. So we got to figure out how to tap into that potential, and it starts with, hey, man, I got to be a man,
Mhm.
accepting I'm a boy right now. I have flaws, right? That's humbling yourself. What do I need to start doing today? And that's when you start figuring out and looking for ways to become and be molded into a man, because
Mhm.
you don't become a man overnight.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I I live by that. If I feel like I'm I'm this is probably weird. I can't sit and watch movies too much. I don't watch TV shows. I don't play video games unless I can't get my brain to turn off because 3 or 4 minutes into it, I'll get up and be like, "What am I doing? This is a dead end." I don't like time dead ends because if you have 4 or 5 of them through the day, there goes your whole entire day. That's probably a reason I have these bags under my eyes because I deal with should I be working or should I be resting or should I be sleeping? I deal with that all the time. Um, we just we just started two new projects, which I don't know if I'm ready for, but I just love doing. I love living, and I love it. So I wake up super excited every single morning. I'm just thrilled to do something, to get out, to move, to feel. It's a good feeling.
What advice do you have for young men who are struggling with confidence and self-worth?
Yeah, so there are close to 7 billion people on this planet. Every single person has an opinion. Every single person. If someone's looking at you and forming an opinion about you, that's a good thing. It doesn't matter if the opinion's good or bad. They're spending their time devoting their attention to you. That's the way I think about it. So if someone wants to form an opinion about me, from me being online or making videos or something that I'm saying, that's great. I love it. Everybody has an opinion. Trust yourself to know that you're doing the right thing. You're doing what you want to do and you're living how you want, not under somebody else's standards, and you will be all right. When I first started YouTube, I would record an intro 7, 8, 9 times because I would just analyze it. I'm like, nah, I don't like the way my face looks in this one. I don't like the way that I said this word. I don't like the way that my ear looks in this one. I was so hypercritical. And then it took me a little bit, but one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to put this out because I want to. I'm not going to overanalyze it, and I'm going to share it. And now some of the most successful series, I don't even watch. I can film them and then we post them. I don't even watch the edits because I know who I am in person. I'm confident with myself in person, and that's relayed on camera. And I think it's built a lot of transparency and authenticity on the channels, because I'll record a story sometimes and I'll mess it up 3 or 4 times and I'm like, I'm sorry, I just can't talk today. And then I'll finish it. Building confidence is one of the most important things that you can do for yourself. With confidence, you can do anything. You can do public speaking. You can speak to anyone. If you see a pretty woman across the street, you can negotiate business deals. You can make friendships. You can do anything with confidence. So focus on building your confidence. Stop worrying about other people's opinions and be confident in yourself. I know that was long-winded, but that's a
It's a great point.
important one.
Stop thinking of what everybody thinks about you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's a hindrance. That's a damage, because you're so focused on what do they think about me. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna do this because I'm scared they might judge me. Who cares? This is your life. This is your life
Yeah.
you're living. You're the main character of your life. Go out there, step on that water like Jesus says. Walk on water. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you fail, you fail, but you can learn from failing. So kind of what going off what he's saying is, for the teens is stop caring what people think.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to fit in and be yourself. Like you said, being authentic. Stop trying to be like somebody, because then
100%.
you have to go all day trying to be like that person.
Yeah,
That's
and it's
work, man.
a lot of work. Yeah. Trying to be somebody or restraining your personality is very taxing. Like, that's the most stressful thing ever. Is trying to holding yourself in because you're afraid of what people might think about you. I'll be honest, a lot of people think that I'm over the top. A lot of people have trouble understanding me, and that's okay, because the ones that I like, the ones that are like me, and the ones that like me, they stick, and they stick hard. Like I've for the last 3 or 4 years since I've worked on building my confidence, I've formed some incredible bonds, some strong, strong bonds. On the flip side, there are a lot of people who just don't understand me. Like, why is he so excited? Why is he so energetic? Does he have ADD? Things like that. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, I'm 100% authentic around every person. And that's what matters.
And that's very important, because
Mhm.
if someone doesn't like me, okay, cool. You got 6 billion people in the world, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Someone don't gonna like you.
There's going to be, 75% of people are not going to like you. So just keep that in mind. For me, it's probably 85%, but
And we keep it moving, man. Especially as whether you're in the military, man, you got a different mindset, or you're a Christian, right? Not everybody's
yes.
gonna flock. Not everybody's gonna flock your way,
Mhm.
but we're fine with that. We keep it moving, and we stay focused on the path. But we'll continue, man, and we'll ask you another question. If you could go back to your younger self,
Mhm.
what's one lesson that about manhood that you would tell yourself? Something that you would an advice you would give yourself.
Man, I wasted so much time from when I was 18 to 25, honestly. And I'm saying 18 because that's when I kind of really learned about life a little bit, like having to kind of provide for myself. That's when I first graduated high school. I got a job. 18 to 25, I wasted a lot of time. I was out at bars. I was drinking. When I was pulling into ports, I would just go get drunk. I didn't explore. I didn't meet people. I would say stop wasting your time on dead end activities, drinking, playing video games. When I was in college, I would play 6 to 8 hours a day of video games. I'd play 3 hours in the morning and 3 to 6 hours when I got home. Just a lot of wasted time. And I look at some people now who have businesses at 18 or 19. I'm like, you know what? Good for you. You figured it out early. I didn't. It took me until 25 to figure it out. So that's probably the most important lesson, I would say.
Amen to that. How did your time in the military shape your mindset and sense of responsibility as a man?
Time in the military moves so slow, but when you look back at it, you're like, it moves so fast. I did 2 years in Bahrain, and after Bahrain, they were like, okay, Austin, you're up for orders again. And I was like, it seems like yesterday I just got to this island, which gave me a perspective of time. Time's moving fast, really fast. And before I knew it, I was 22, 23, 24, and I'm like, life is moving a lot faster than I ever thought it would. I was like, and I'm going to die one day. So that's what helped me, that realization helped me relinquish other people's opinions on me, and it's helped me live more towards the way that I want to live. That's one thing the military helped me with. Another thing is taking accountability. Like, I make mistakes all the time. If I make a mistake now, I own it. I apologize. It will not happen again. That is my fault. A lot of people will dodge around responsibility, and I can't stand it. Something happens, they try to blame somebody else. That's the thing that gets to me. It taught me responsibility, being held accountable for my actions, and teamwork. It was really hard to hire my first employee, but I remember in the military, I'm like, hey, you can't build an organization with just one person, and now we have 6 or 7 employees. So those 3 things helped me out a ton.
Yeah, I think the military helps you with building a team.
Mm-hmm.
I started as a 92 Fox, and which is a petroleum supply specialist, and then I got shifted to Center for Delta, which is
Mm-hmm.
for biological, radiological, nuclear specialist, and I had to learn everything from scratch, man. And the commander was like, "Hey, you're in charge of this section, figure it out." And I had to figure it out from scratch, and that's when you learn, in the military, when you get a position of authority and responsibility and accountability,
Mm-hmm.
how to manage this. How do I manage this correctly? I'm signed for $1 million property. How do I make sure I take care of it, that I'm not responsible for any lost items, or how do I take care of the team I have? How do we delegate? That's, to be honest with you, the first time I learned about delegation was the military.
Really?
I would be doing everything, man. And then, a leader was like, hey, man, just delegate, a job, man, spread it
Mm-hmm.
out, But I think for people who are watching, the military is a good place to go if you're, wanting to figure out what you want to do in life, you don't know, to learn discipline, accountability, responsibility, and teamwork. You know, perfect place if you don't know what you want to do in life.
Mm-hmm. I
Uh,
recommend the military all the time. The military is it's a great stepping stone to help you build confidence and skills that you won't find anywhere else.
and I think people who go to the military are built different, man. I think the mentality, the discipline, the drive, you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? I don't know. For me, I feel like they operate different.
Well, I would hire a 22-year-old getting out of the military over a 28-year-old with a doctorate degree, and that's just facts. Because they know how to speak to people, they're confident. You can have somebody that goes through the whole college pipeline and they get out and they have like a doctorate's degree, but they have trouble talking to people. They're awkward. They're That's just facts. Almost every person that I hire or work with is a veteran, just because I can talk to them sharply if they need to, but also we can relax and have fun.
And I think to add, and then we'll go on to the next question. Another thing that is great from the military that people learn, that I learned from, going in at 22 years old, is authority, respect and
Hmm.
authority. Because me, man, I grew up, I didn't grow up with mentors or with a father figure. I had to be raised by, the corners, man, the guys in the neighborhood. So
Hmm.
really, man, I had no respect for authority. But after going to the military, and I think this is a good thing for teens and young men, is understanding authority, giving the respect, to to those who are in charge of you. Whether that be your boss, your leader, the police, who's there to protect you, or your teachers. You know what I mean? I think that's very important. You're able to move around the world, and okay, I understand this guy's authority. This guy's here to help me out, or um, let me respect my authorities or my parents. Let me honor them. The Bible says, honor your parents, and you will have a long life with a blessing. You get what I'm saying? So I think that's one thing in the military does teach you, for those wanting to, get into the military, is going to teach you to respect authority. I think that's a main principle a man needs to understand.
100%. Yeah. To give and receive respect as needed and as warranted.
And then we'll continue to, faith and overcoming challenges. I know you're a man of faith. I seen your podcast, and you said you grew up, your parents were in church, they took you to church as a young child. How has faith helped you push through obstacles in your life, whether physical, mental, or emotional?
When I was in basic training, this was a big one. When I was in basic training, I got a really bad infection in my right leg, and it was bad. My leg swelled up probably like 75% bigger than my left leg. I had an infection called MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. I'm sure you guys know about MRSA. It's a big one in the military because you got dirty spaces everywhere. I went in. I was in the hospital for a week and a half, and I was praying, obviously, every single day. I didn't pray for me to be fixed. I was praying for just get me out of this hospital, please, by any means necessary. And about 8 or 9 days into it, the infection started to go down because they were giving me an antibiotic called Zosyn. It went down. Like it was like I was back to normal. When that started working, I was back to normal in 12 hours. It was crazy. The swelling was still there a little bit, but they got me out of the hospital on like day 8 or 9, maybe. Brought me straight back to boot camp to the compartment. I was in the holding unit, and I was having to check in every single day with them. And I prayed again. I was like, please, God, just please get me out. And I prayed every single night in boot camp. Please just get me out of the temporary holding unit. And probably after a week, maybe a week and a half of being a temporary holding, my commander was like, you know what, your knee's still a little bit swollen, but I'm going to clear you, so we'll get you out of here for boot camp. And I was just singing praises, so happy to get out of there, because my mindset was not okay. I was depressed in there. There have been multiple times on deployment where just a simple prayer can change your whole outlook and the way that you're looking at it. And then when that prayer is answered, you are just in a completely different, I can't even explain it. No church is quite like my church back home, Cross Point. I've been to a few out here in California. There's Awaken, there's New Hope, there's a lot of them. But going to church with my grandma, my parents, and my mom is really, really sets me up for a good mindset. And I go to church with them every time I'm home. Faith has been a stable point in all of my challenges in the military and out of the military. I can't explain it. I can't explain the feeling. Just like I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, God speaks to you. And he speaks to you in different ways and different tones and through different things. And you just have to listen and be ready for it.
And the Bible kind of says a verse, man, he gives you a peace that's above your understanding. Mm-hmm. You're not going to understand it.
And that's why I'm struggling to really put it into words.
Yeah, I'm gonna comment on that too. I mean, like I said, that whole San Diego boot camp, man, those mountains, dude. I mean, people like to call us Hollywood Marines. That's fine and dandy, but You can't compare those mountains. I will argue back and forth with any Paris Island Marine
Mhm.
for that sand or whatever they call that. I don't know if they go through the swamp, but dude, when you're going up those mountains, man, those mountains are no joke, and especially at the end of the Crucible. But it was going up that last mountain, actually the Crucible. That's the last mountain over there in Camp Pendleton. I had to call on the Lord, man, and I was like, God, I don't have any strength. 72 hours. We're eating MREs. I mean,
Mhm.
MREs can't, that's not enough calories or energy. So I thought I was gonna die, man. But honestly, I just like, Austin said, man, it was supernatural that God gave me strength to get up that final mountain. And it was it was just a picture of just climbing a mountain. So yeah, God definitely is the source or was my source. And as we designing videos to young people, look, God is the one that's going to carry you through all of these challenges and through these obstacles. And you just got to trust in his hand. I mean, he's all about you being a man.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, God is all about your development, you becoming a man. And it takes him to mold you and forge you. You got to be shaped and forged. And
Mhm.
God is the one that's going to forge you into your destiny. But going back to faith, who is your favorite biblical character? You might have several, but just off top, who would be like one of your favorite biblical characters?
Um, there's a few of them. I would probably say, um, I like Samson, because the Bible built him as this strong, powerful guy. Um, then you also got David, King David. Um, I would probably have to say Samson or David.
Yeah, Samson, man, he's a different type of guy, man. He went all out. He said, Lord, I messed up, man. But Lord, have mercy. Let me
Hmm.
destroy these pillars to do something right at this end of my life and kill these idolaters who worship these false gods. And
Hmm.
the Lord gave him supernatural strength, man, and tear that temple down. And that's a good character.
Yeah, I'm gonna change gears a little bit. Can you describe your morning routine? Like, you
Yes.
know, what kind of good habits? Because it's a guy who has a book called Atomic Habits.
Yep.
Um, I've read it before. But what are your atomic habits and what is your day-to-day routine?
So in Atomic Habits, which is how I built my morning routine, it talks about attaching habits to each other. So I'll give you a list of things that I do. I recently have interchanged one. I wake up, I will go and look in the mirror. That's the new one. I will go and look in the mirror. When you look at yourself, I feel like, you know, you can really get a grasp on like where you're at. A lot of people wake up and avoid looking at themselves in the mirror, just like they avoid problems or issues or whatever. I think it's important to face yourself. I put on a little moisturizer if I need to, fix my hair, it gives me more confidence. I brush my teeth. Then I go downstairs, I drink 16 ounces of water. I don't know if you guys saw me drinking it downstairs, but I was drinking that 16 ounces of water. And then I wait a little bit, I shake it out, I grab coffee, and I go outside and I look in the sunlight. And I would just look, I would close my eyes, and I would just feel the sun on my face, and I will breathe. And I'll just breathe. I don't think about anything. I just breathe. I smell the air. I feel the sunlight. And that right there is like, and then from there, I will go into like a 30 or 40-minute walk to the park. This usually happens a little bit early. I didn't get my walk in this morning, but I will probably get it in about 10:30 whenever this podcast is done. And that's my morning routine. I come back and then I'll work.
You do any ice plunge?
I do sometimes. I don't do it in the morning just because I've tried it in the morning several times and I'm sitting here, I'm shivering the rest of the day. So it has to be in the afternoon or after a workout.
Yeah, I used to try it when I used to go to school, college, and Man, man, it used to wake me up, man. It used to zap me up like, all right, it's time to get up. And it gives you like this energy boost. Like, I don't know how to explain
Yeah.
it, but it's like, okay, I'm active now. It's adrenaline, you know.
Yeah. It's fight or flight. Your body's like, oh shoot, I'm dying. I love cold plungers. My buddy owns a cold plunge place, and they have some great people in there. Everybody's always happy. It's a great community.
What are some non-negotiables as far as your morning routine? Like, hey, look, man, if I don't do this, my day is not going to be right.
If I don't, I would say it's sunlight and water. Two crucial resources. If I don't have my sunlight and my water, my day's ruined. If I'm not drinking water in the morning, I get a headache by midday. That's just the way it is. If I don't get sunlight, my whole mood is going to be down. Sunlight for mood, water for your body. Another thing is if I don't start work after my morning walk, I would say the whole morning routine, if I don't have the morning routine, then I'm going to be pretty upset about it.
You know, what are some habits that you do to stay disciplined? You know, a lot of people got different habits, different things they do, but
Uh-huh.
what is a specific habit that helps you stay disciplined?
I would say being physical, the gym and running, contrary to what a lot of people think, I don't always want to go to the gym. I don't always want to run. It's tough to get out there sometimes, especially when I have like 50 orders from the Battle Bunker shop and I'm fulfilling them and I'm doing this and I'm getting on calls and whatnot. I don't always want to take the time out of my schedule to go to the gym and run. That helps me stay disciplined. Another thing is just waking up and holding myself accountable. Accountability. And I have others hold me accountable. I'm paying one of my friends to just check in with me every single day. Accountability is a big way that I stay disciplined. Accountability from myself, accountability from others.
How important is routine in your life? And do you ever, you know, deviate from it?
Yeah, I think routine is very important. Like I have my morning routine, and then I have a routine where I work, and then I'll eat breakfast, and then from there, usually I go work out. I deviate from it a little bit. Yeah, as long as I have a grasp, and as long as I'm the one deviating, then I can handle it. If someone comes to me and like if my van gets towed or if my truck gets towed and it's completely like a sideline, then I become upset and I kind of just have to reset. Okay, why was it towed? And I have to justify in my head, was it my fault? Was it the neighbor again? So yeah, I have to deviate all the time. So people shouldn't listen to this and think, oh, you never deviate from your schedule, because you can. Even David Goggins deviates from his schedule. David doesn't run every day, you know. Um,
Yeah. That's why I
so
don't
it,
have time for mines, you know. That's why, because I
yeah,
know this is the time I got to do this. I know I'm gonna get busy somewhere, man. So my thing is, look, man, you got to get this stuff done, right? I
yep,
don't care how you get it done, but it needs to be done by the time you go to sleep, or you're not sleeping.
exactly. Yep, that happened to me yesterday. I didn't get done until probably midnight and a half, 12:30.
How do you keep yourself motivated to train even on tough days?
I know that my wealth is my health. It doesn't matter how much money I have. I've seen interviews, billionaires, millionaires that don't have good health. And I'm like, what is this all for? How can you enjoy if you don't have good health? And health is something that anybody can do, whether it's for a short walk, whether it's a workout, whether it's a marathon, whether it's a High Rocks Pro doubles or High Rocks Pro. It can mean anything to a lot of people. It's keeping your body healthy. And when you keep your body healthy, with that, you have a layer of richness or wealth. You know, if you looked at a 90-year-old billionaire, I'm sure that he would give all that money away to go back and to be even 60 again. You know, and to be more active and to be healthier. Like I've seen plenty of healthy 90-year-olds. And that's the wealthiest thing of all. It's living long time and staying healthy.
How do you structure your day for maximum productivity?
Time blocks, like the time block from today 9 to 10, this podcast. And then from 10 to 11, work on graphics. And then from 11 to 12, I have another call with National University. Blocking off time is how you get maximum productivity. And nowadays, you can even have AI do it, like just to save time. Sometimes I'll go in here, I'll tell ChatGPT, hey, I need to work out today. I need 3 meals that are 45-minute breaks. I need to read for 15 minutes. I've got this meeting. I've got this podcast. I've got this call. And I've got to go to the theater today to check out the whatever. Program me a schedule, put random 15-minute breaks in there so I can just breathe and chill out. And chat builds a schedule. That's a productivity tool I use. They have other ones called Motion and Asana and all these ones, but time blocking, seeing those physical blocks in your time schedule help a ton.
And then another question is, are there any books or resources that had an impact on your life?
Atomic Habits is the big one. Just like Brother Baines mentioned earlier, Atomic Habits is a great book. It'll help you set up just small tweaks in your schedule. And before you know it, when you're doing it for 3 or 4 years, you're on a really good path and you made a lot of progress.
And then what is your philosophy on balancing work, fitness, and personal life?
I'm not the best at balancing work and personal life. I'm not. For me, personal life branches over. Like if the business and everything's doing good, I'm happy. But there are others in my life that want my time and want to spend time with me. And if I want to keep those relationships good, then it's something that I do, like girlfriend or spouse or, friend that just needs help. So I've learned 2 or 3 days out of the week, I'll cut it off early. 6 p.m., I'm done with work. Try to stay off my phone, sit down for a movie or a dinner or just a conversation with a friend. That's how I've learned to balance. It wasn't easy. I'm convinced I lost my last relationship because I didn't know how to balance work and personal life. But 2 or 3 days out of the week doesn't have to be all the time. Set some time aside for important relationships.
And how did you? I know earlier you mentioned that you you met David Goggins. How'd you meet David Goggins? How did that go about before he became David Goggins?
So this was 2014, Great Lakes. I was in pre-dive school. Remember, I told you guys I had the infection. I was in the holding unit. When they cleared me, they sent me over to Training Service Center, which is where the pre-buds, pre-dive, pre-EOD, pre-air rescue, everybody went. And I was rooming since I was kind of an awkward hold. They put me in the USS Cole, which is a barracks room that all the pre-buds guys were in. I roomed with a guy named Pete Barilovich, just a beast. He was the class leader of the pre-buds. And Instructor Goggins, before he was David Goggins, he was there. This was 2014. And I just remember seeing this guy running every single morning. He was always leading the pre-buds guys, always. He was still a runner. And everybody's like, oh, there's Instructor Goggins. Like, dude, he's a beast just running. And he got in trouble a couple of times because he wasn't supposed to run them over 6 miles, but he would run them 12, 18 miles. And a lot of the pre-buds guys would get stress fractures. So one night, I was in the barracks room, me and Pete and Slinger and then somebody else. They're like, we got to gear up for our inspection. So please clean up your stuff. It's got to look clean in here. And I was like, all right. They cleaned up the whole compartment. 3:30 a.m. rolls around. You hear instructors just ripping through that hallway. And you hear Goggins just yelling, Barilovich, Barilovich. And he comes to the door, bangs on the door. And Barilovich, I see his feet swing down. He's got his full uniform on. He comes to the door. He lines out outside. And everything's quiet for about 2 minutes. Silence. I was sitting in my bed. I was SIQ, which means sick in quarters, with a fever. I'm pretty sure it was from that infection still or something. I was sitting there and I was like, nervous. I had never spoke to Goggins, never spoke to any of the instructors. So the instructors walk in Barilovich's room because they're going to check the class leader's room first. He comes up, runs up to me, starts yelling, cussing at me. Get the out of that bed. What are you doing? Like just yelling, going crazy. Goggins. And then Pete comes back. He's like, instructor, he's dive. He's not pre-buds. He's also SIQ, which means he's sick in quarters. You guys know that. If you're SIQ from a doctor, petty officers, non-commissioned, nobody can tell you anything because you have a slip from a doctor. And he looks back at me. He grabs my SIQ chit, and he's looking at it, and he's like, he's thinking, oh, shoot, I messed up. So he's like, lay back down in your bed. I lay back down. He's like, sorry about that. Try to get some sleep. We're doing inspections. He's tapping his finger on my shoulder. Sorry about that. We're doing inspections. Be sure you get some sleep, because he was worried that I would go tell a doctor or somebody. He turns back around and starts ripping everybody else. And yeah, when I saw him get popular, I'm like, hey, that's the dude that yelled at me. And then now he's David Goggins.
He became normal for a second when he tapped you. He became
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah. He was a very normal dude. And through that, I would hear him talking. Like dudes would come up to him and talk to him, and he'd be talking to him like normal. But he definitely plays a role as David Goggins now.
And I seen you do an interview with Jocko in your uniform. Were you still in the military at that time?
I was.
And how did you meet Jocko?
All Hands Magazine reached out to me because I was like in the social space. They're like, hey, do you want to do an interview with Jocko Willink? So they got me off of work for a day. They took their whole camera crew down there and filmed an interview with me and Jocko Willink. And we filmed the interview. It got passed up to NSW, and NSW was like, no. They canceled the entire project for 2 years. And then finally, when the guy that left, All Hands, when he left, he transferred me the file, gave me the interview, and I posted it on my second channel. That's how I met Jocko. And plus, I've met him seen him a couple of other times at SHOT Show, 511 booth, Jocko Willink booth, expos, Arnold Expo, things like that.
Yeah, the famous 4 a.m. post. Still doing it today.
Yep.
And that's discipline, man. That's a different type of breed.
Well, he's running, a multi 9-figure company. So,
yeah. You want to ask a question, Brother Bangs?
Yeah. We talked about balance and just being well-rounded. So as far as recreation, what do you do for recreation, like hobbies?
I like building things with my hands. I like model cars. I like Legos. It's been a long time since I've done one, but it helps kind of control my child mind. Here's a plane. For recreation, I love hiking. Aside from fitness stuff, I like hiking up in the mountains and the woods. I love the woods. I grew up in the woods every single day. I like gardens. I like horticulture. Fitness really brings all that. I try to tie my hobbies into something productive. I like looking at softwares and analytics online. I tie that into the job. I like hiking and trails. I tie that into fitness. I run a trail over here in Otay Lakes. It's a 5 or 6 mile trail, pretty frequently. So that's my recreation.
You look pretty disciplined. You look like a disciplined eater. But if you're cheating and if you're just, splurging,
Yeah.
what would it be?
Oh, I had ice cream last night, dairy free. It would probably be. It depends, really. I love cookies. I love chocolate chip cookies. If you put like a hot chocolate chip cookie and then some ice cream, that's a good sugary cheat meal. Other cheat meals include lasagna, quesadillas with a lot of cheese. It really just all depends. I love a good steak quesadilla. I can't eat it all the time because it's really heavy in fat. But yeah,
And we'll just ask the last question. These last questions and get you out of here. I know you
all right.
got time. What inspired you to create the Battle Bunker? And how did it come to life? You know.
I said I want to build my own obstacle course. I said I'm tired of having to go film on the Marine Corps base and all these other bases. I want to build my own, and I want to call it something. Well, first it was going to be Battle Factory. I was going to build it inside of a warehouse. And then I was like, well, I can't afford a warehouse. So what's the next best thing? Build an obstacle course that doesn't require security, doesn't require anything. And I was like thinking, I was like, what's an obstacle course or a military inspired thing? Bunker. So that's how I got Battle Bunker. And then from there, I just built the course, 9 obstacles out in Moore Park, California, and we started filming on it. I built it up. I built it in order to film on it, so we could kind of just rotate with a camera. And we released 21 episodes. Took us a little bit to get it successful, but 21 episodes, it really built a community. And then we had our first competition, and then it branched out, Battle Bunker Bus, and then Battle Bunker Unbroken series, Battle Bunker Product, and hybrid kind of games now. So it just kind of blew up, and I'm just trying to keep a grasp on it now.
How has it evolved since from when you started? The Battle Bunker.
Well, it started as an obstacle course, just an obstacle course. That's all it was. And now it's grew into a parent company to 3 separate brands. And then now we have the product going, which is another leg. And then we just launched exclusive music on everywhere. It's called Battle Bunker Beats. It's just workout tunes. So now we have a 5th leg. It's becoming like a barstool sports of fitness. So yeah, that's how.
And then my 2 last question is, what led you to start the TikTok and the idea of just to pull up bar and just start recording, people?
As a creator, being on YouTube for 2 years, I realized that short form was absolutely exploding, and I see we need a specific short form series. And so that's, after 3 or 4 different iterations, 5 different iterations, we landed on the specific me being filmed with a microphone talking to people. It was a POV at first, and was a GoPro in my head, was somebody following me with a phone. So it took a little bit to kind of organize and arrange that series, but that's how it landed. That's what performed the best. We just posted a video yesterday. Is at 9 million views on TikTok. A lot of people look at me and they're like, oh, he just makes videos, which I do, but I constantly monitor analytics, average view durations. I'm implementing new things that we can do for the hooks, for the intros, free programs, products. Like, it's never ending cycle.
What's one final message you want to leave with the audience today? These teens, young men, these people who don't really have mentors, don't really have father figures in their life. What is a message you want to leave to them, or something you want to say, or advice?
Somebody that doesn't have a mentor or a father figure, I would say find one. It's very important. For every single person on this planet has the capacity and has that spot to look up to someone. Mine was Captain David Marin, still is to this day. He was my old CEO in Bahrain. Him and I are still great friends. Find a mentor, find someone. Do not be afraid to ask somebody, hey, can you mentor me? If someone, to this day, nobody's asked me that, but if someone asked me that, I would be honored. So find someone that you relate to or that you look up to, and find a mentor, because you're not going to know everything yourself.
Hey man, if you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area, we got Man Up International Alliance at manupinternational.org. You guys can sign up. And I'm a mentor. Brother Bangs is a mentor. We have other mentors that we give our services to, mentor, teens, young males in their 20s that don't have father figures, that need help, that, don't have mentors. We have the people, the resources. We got programs. We take people into the Falcons games that never been to a Falcons game, Hawks games, teach them how to change a tire. So if you guys looking for a mentor, and you guys are in Atlanta, Georgia, to go to manhubinternational.org, sign up, and send your kid. We're ready for him to mentor him and give him what he needs to become that man. So I thank you, Austen. Um,
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you for the podcast. We appreciate your time. We know you're a busy man. I appreciate you, responding and giving us this opportunity to interview you. We appreciate it. We see it as a blessing, and may God bless you for your time. And uh, you know, whenever you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area, man, and you want to come and talk to these kids, I think we got about 45 right now, right, Brother Baines? Over 40.
Yeah, we bought 45. They ain't growing. They ain't growing.
Dang, that's incredible.
So we started off with just 7, and now in 1 year we're about 45 over. And
Nice.
we got 2 hubs now, and we're gonna keep multiplying to
Mhm.
help the community because these kids, man, that we have over here, man, they need the mentorship, and whenever you're in Atlanta, man, reach out. We'll give you good hospitality, man, and you talk to these kids. And I know they're always looking for someone to look up to and be like, man, if he did it, I may have a chance to do it. So we appreciate your time and being on our podcast.
For sure. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate you. I gotta look you up when I'm back home, Austin.
Yeah, let's do it. Let me know whenever
Yes,
you're
sir.
here.
Yes, sir. I gotta do the bunker course then.
Yeah,
Let's
you do.
go.
You do.
All right.